Good evening. Welcome to Fine Print. I'm Molly Gambhir. All that shortly, but first, news just coming in. The United States government has expressed concern over India's revised e-commerce regulations. The US has told officials in New Delhi that the new policy will hinder Indian investment plans of Amazon and Walmart. The tussle marks the latest in a string of concerns that have been raised by the United States over Indian government policies which impact American firms. It also comes at a time when the two countries are trying to iron out other trade irritants. India's e-commerce investment rules will kick in from the 1st of February. The regulations ban companies from selling products via firms in which they have an equity interest and also banning them from making deals with sellers to sell exclusively on their platforms. The policy has dealt a major blow to Walmart, which last year, remember, invested $16 billion to buy 77% of India's Flipkart. It will also force Amazon to change its business structure in the country and raise operational costs.
Well, we don't like it.
We'll keep tracking further reactions coming in on that front. But moving on for now, monitoring Chinese movements in the Indian Ocean is a priority for the Indian Navy. And to counter China's muscle flexing in the region and to beef up surveillance, India has now set up a third naval airbase in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Indian Navy is stepping up surveillance of Chinese ships and submarines entering the Indian Ocean through the nearby Malacca Straits. China is building commercial ports stretching from Sri Lanka to Pakistan that India fears could become naval outposts. Indian Navy Chief Admiral Sunil Lanba will commission the new base called INS Kohasa. It is situated about 300 kilometers north of Port Blair. The facilities will have a 1,000-meter runway for helicopters and Dornier surveillance aircraft. China has also detained a Chinese-Australian writer, Yang Hengjun, who went missing after arriving at a Chinese airport last week. China claims the writer has been detained because he posed a threat to national security. Chinese authorities said that officials from Australia have not yet been able to meet Yang.
澳大利亚籍人员杨军因为涉嫌从事危害中国国家安全犯罪活动，北京市国家安全局近期依法对他采取了强制措施进行审查。
Australia, meanwhile, has said that the country is concerned over the detention of its citizen. Take a listen into that reaction that came in.
Well, normally we would expect to have been given that kind of notice about Mr Young's detention within 3 days. It took 4 days for that to be provided to Australia. Obviously, that is disappointing. And we'll be raising that too with Chinese government officials. In terms of Mr Young's welfare, it's not immediately apparent that that's had any impact on it, but obviously that's the kind of information that we're trying to access.
Yang Hengjun is a spy novelist and online commentator. He was a Chinese diplomat before he became an Australian citizen. Yang's friends have said that the 52-year-old blogger had been living in New York as a visiting scholar at Columbia University. Yang had returned to China last week with his wife and 14-year-old stepdaughter. Tensions have mounted between China and Western nations since the arrest of Huawei executive in Canada last month. This episode was followed by the detention of 2 Canadians working in China. And while the Brexit deal conundrum continues, a pizzeria in London is offering a discount deal in support of a second referendum. That's right, a discount on pizzas if customers can prove their support for a fresh referendum. Take a look.
As small-scale entrepreneurs in Britain complain that the disarray over Brexit has left their business in limbo, this London restaurant hopes its customers can help sort out the mess in exchange for discounted dinners. This pizzeria is offering a discount to customers who have written to their local MP expressing support for a second Brexit referendum. Customers need to bring in a copy of a letter or email to their MP expressing support for a fresh poll and get a discount.
So we decided to do 25% off if you show a copy of your of an email or a letter if you've written to your MP asking for a second referendum. We're not necessarily anti-Brexit. I openly admit to have voted Remain, but we're really anti the uncertainty, and another referendum is the fastest way out.
Discounts will be valid from Sundays to Thursdays on eat-in meals rather than takeaways, and for customers ordering at least 2 items. The offer ends either on March 29th or when a second referendum is called.
Well, I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's a good idea, isn't it? You know, it gets people interested. And I think a lot of people aren't interested enough, you know. A lot of people seem to think that a no-deal Brexit means everything remains the same. Of course it doesn't. It's an absolute disaster.
The pizzeria relies heavily on Italian imports. Of all the menu items, the classic margherita pizza may be the most threatened in case of the UK leaving the EU.
Where will I source my cheese? In August of this year. I have no idea. I buy a lot of fresh cheese from Italy. That can't stay in a lorry park in Calais. I'd like to know my supply chain for the year ahead. That would be useful for me to plan, so I'm unable to plan that at the moment.
Not just the ingredients. The pizzeria owner also worries about future staffing, as some of his team members come from mainland Europe. The pizzeria is in the Hockney North and Stoke Newington constituency, which has Labour shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott as its MP. It voted to remain with a more than 78% majority.
We're a kind of Remainery part of London, and lots of people who have written really lovely responses. Mixed online, you know, I've put by doing what I believe in, I've definitely put my business in jeopardy. There's a lot of horrible lies that have been written about my business online by people who think I'm anti-Brexit. I'm not anti-Brexit, but I'm very anti-Brexit uncertainty.
So, can Kenny and his pizzeria help break the Brexit deadlock? That is the question. Bureau Report, World is One.
And WION World is One is in Davos, getting you the latest from the World Economic Forum. In an exclusive conversation with our correspondent, International Monetary Fund's chief economist Gita Gopinath has given a thumbs up to the Indian economy, saying that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world and must continue on the path of fiscal consolidation. Take a listen in.
We're joined by IMF's chief economist, Gita Gopinath, in Davos here. Thanks for talking to us, Gita. And first of all, a lot of discussions happening around the world economy, Indian economy. What is your outlook for global economy? Because a lot is being said about the impending slowdown in the world economy. What do you think about it?
So our outlook is that global growth will slow in 2019. But it's going to be a modest slowdown, so it's not going to be a very dramatic change. We're certainly not staring at a recession right now. And so while there is reason to be concerned, I don't think it's like we're hitting the panic button at this point.
About India, because the elections season is here, a lot of SOPs could be there, a lot of other schemes could be there. What do you think about the Indian economy? Will it get hurt by this? What do you say on that?
The Indian economy we forecast will grow at around 7.5% in 2019, which makes it one of the fastest growing large economies of the world. I think it is very important for India to stay on the fiscal consolidation track. We haven't seen much of an improvement in that over the last 5 years. I'm talking about the consolidated budget right now, the center and the state. So policies that raise expenditures by a lot, I think, would not be good for the Indian economy.
All right. Okay. One last question. Global trade wars. What is your viewpoint on the global trade wars?
We are really hoping to see an end to it because it is having a negative impact on the economy, and it is one of the biggest risks going forward.
And our correspondent Sumit Chaturvedi also caught up with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in Davos. Ramaphosa will arrive in New Delhi tomorrow as part of a state visit. He is the chief guest at the 70th Republic Day celebrations.
Indians in South Africa, how do you see the India and South Africa ties?
Well, the ties between South Africa and India are very historical. They are both political. and also most enhancing and empowering links. I will be going to India in a few days, so it's going to be almost a homecoming moment for us as we go to India, because we want to strengthen the ties between South Africa and India.
What is your agenda of India visit going to be? What do you want to promote more when you go to India?
Well, obviously, I mean, we want to promote trade and good relations between the two countries, and also to go there to celebrate Mahatma Gandhi's life and Nelson Mandela's life. So that helps us to consolidate our relations, and it's almost the glue that binds the two countries together from a historical point of view and a political point of view.
And here at Davos, what have you gained so far? Have you been able to attract investments for your country?
Yes, no, Davos has always been a very good source for investments for South Africa. We're here to consolidate our standing internationally in relation to an investment destination, and we've been able to meet a number of companies and governments here to foster investments into our country. So it's been really good.
Thank you. We need to.
Thank